Hey, welcome to the channel. Coming at you live and direct from the sunlight. Got the sun in my face right there. So, just want to send out good healing vibrations to all of you guys watching this video. And just say welcome. Welcome to the channel. We are going to get into some really good this trick-or-treat Halloween. Let me check my microphone, because sometimes when I try to record myself on the screen, the mics trip out, and I have a webcam, it'll start to pick up on that one and it won't pick up on my other mic, and then you can't hear me. And I don't know until the whole entire thing is done. I don't know why. I don't know. Anyway, maybe I need headphones or something when I'm doing the editing. But anyway, welcome back. This isn't that long. Hopefully we get through it within 10 minutes. All right, so here we go. Chapter 69. Nebiyah tells Yahshua about a Nasarean settlement that has announced that John the Baptizer is the Messiah, also including Myrddin's prophecy to the Nasareans of John the Baptizer, and a note from Gebiya. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know who Gebiya is, so definitely want to stay tuned to the end to get that note from Gebiya. Okay, so here we go. John the Baptizer had, back in the early days of his ministry, visited and taught at a Nazarene encampment in Basantis, which is Bashan, along the Jordan, and also taught at a string of related Nazarene congregations, including a large congregation in Gilead, the Galactides. Okay, I think that is Galilee is where it is. It was just before John the Baptizer had begun his baptisms at Halajah Ford, when he had subsequently met Yahshua and proclaimed the Lord as the fulfillment of certain Nasarean messianic prophecies in Basantis, Bashan, a fertile area with many Nazarene farms. At the time of John's visit lived a renowned Nazarene green wizard of white magic named Myrddin. I love his name, Myrddin. He was a transplant from the region that would later be called Wales. After John the Baptizer visited Bashan, the overseeing priest of the region, Gilead, a son of a farmer from Gilead, or Gilead, I don't know how you pronounce it. One is two E's and one has a EA. So the guy's name is Gilead, and this is Gilead. All right, the place is Gilead. All right. He, from Gilead, proclaimed that John was the long prophesied Nazarene Christ Messiah, incarnation of Jahday, and that he, Gilead, was therefore the proclaimer of the Messiah, the first Nasarean to publicly proclaim John as the fulfillment of that prophecy. So, okay. It's a lot of names. Hope you're following along. Basically, it's saying that John the Baptist went around before he started baptizing to these different settlements. And there was this one son here of a farmer who proclaimed that John was the long prophesied Nasarean Christ Messiah, incarnation of Jahday, and that he, the son, Gilead, was the proclaimer. Okay, so at a congregational meeting in Basantis, held less than a year after the visit of John the Baptist, immediately after Gilead's first proclamation, immediately after Gilead's first proclaimed John as the divine incarnation of Jahday, Merlin the Wizard stood and spoke the following words. Merlin said, "Because John is a mighty preacher and a true holy one, I can see how Gilead might think him the incarnation of Jahday, the Lord Christ. And if that were true, then it would follow that indeed Gilead is the prophesied proclaimer, the reincarnation of Elijah. But I tell you truly, I received last night a visit from the angel Gabriel. He revealed to me that this moment would occur and that each one in this assembly would have to make a choice. It has been revealed to me by Gabriel that John is the proclaimer, and that he, John, will publicly proclaim the identity of the Lord Christ and Lady Christ. In a true vision aided by Gabriel, I saw the man that would be called Emmanuel, which means God immanent, the divine incarnation of Jade. He is not John, but John is his proclaimer, Elijah reincarnated. And at the side of the Lord Christ will be the Lady Christ. For though John is an ascetic and celibate monk, the Messiah will have both wife and child. Behold, Gilead had been appointed to his priestly position by his father, who besides being a farmer in Gilead was the Nazarene priest with overseeing status for that region. Okay, I want to read a little bit right here. I'm going to put it in the description box, but I wanted to read it just maybe because I love this guy's name. Myrddin is a Welsh name that came into Latin as Merlinus and into English as Merlin, as made clear in a scholarly study of the legends related to Merlin the Wizard in a book titled The Book of Merlin, Insights from the Merlin Conference, edited by R.J. Stewart. The later fictional Arthurian English legends were rooted in far earlier Welsh legends related to a wizard poet named Myrddin. I, Day of Greenleaf, believe that the Nasarean Wizard Myrddin was the original historic source of all those later fictional legends. Pretty cool, right? Now, remember, the legends were kind of fictional. So if you have seen or you know about Merlin and you know all his stories, it's not saying that his stories, the fiction, this Day of Greenleaf is saying that those fictional stories were based on this actual guy, right? That Myrddin was the original historical source for all the later fiction. But, you know, he was a wizard, so if they, you know, nice, right? All right. Here's my favorite in Lord of the Rings. All right, so Gilead's dad was it said he had been appointed by his father, okay, and his father was the Nasarean priest with overseeing status for this region. Some Nasarean elders at the time of the appointment felt that Gilead was yet too immature and strong-headed to hold such a position of authority. As it turned out, because Gilead was a bit immature, even though he felt within himself the spiritual truth in the words of the renowned Nasarean Wizard Myrddin, he did not want to publicly recant his own proclamation that John was the divine incarnation of Jade, so he continued to proclaim John as Christ Jade come as man. Myrddin told the people not to sound negative, but to report accurately what has been revealed to me by Angel Gabriel. I tell you, those that follow Gilead in this era will become a Nazarene tribe unto themselves. They will abandon the Holy Megillah to follow the prophecies and supposed gnosis that will come from the misguided quill of Gilead. Even so, Gilead will be given the following opportunity to make amends for leading so many astray. His new Nazarene tribe will flee this region to foreign marshlands, but will, in their secret library within a cave known only to their line of high priests, preserve a copy of the Holy Megillah, Nasarean Bible of the Essene Way. The Megillah will be within a hollowed-out crystal that looks like a block of ice, a gift from me. Only Gilead will open the crystal and withdraw the Megillah, and only with the sword of truth, true contrition and repentance. So you guys see this, the story of the sword and the stone? It was talking about a sword being in a stone. What did we just say about the Holy Megillah, right? It will be in a hollowed out crystal that looks like a block of ice. And only Gilead can open the crystal. Now that sounds like the sword and the stone, right? So nearly 2,000 years after his arrival in the marshlands, towards the beginning of the era we call the last days, Gilead will reincarnate as high priest of his lost tribe and will make amends for his error. He will provide that preserved copy of the Holy Megillah to me, for I will also reincarnate at that time, being called Malachi, the messenger of Jadeh. When Galid recognizes me, he will give me that copy of the Megillah as a sign of his remembrance and repentance. Then secretly he will study and teach from the Holy Megillah for the remainder of his years, and will then ascend unto El Push. For Nazareans by very definition are forgivers and ascenders, and the Lord and the Lady are supernal forgivers. Yea, the Lord and the Lady rejoice over the return of their lost sheep. After Nebiyah in Alexandria had told Yahshua of this congregation in Basantes, describing it as a congregation that was splitting in two over the issue of whether Yahshua and John or John was the incarnation of Jadeh, Yahshua visited the region of Basantes and Gilead. The people asked Yahshua if he was Emmanuel, or as proclaimed by Gilead, was it John? Yahshua replied, go to John and ask him that question. Yahshua also healed and taught in the region, but said nothing about his identity. After Yahshua had left the region, that reminds me of in the Bible where it said he didn't perform any miracles or something like that in this one area because they didn't have belief or something. See, the Holy Megillah is the whole story, but it's just like, you got to read it and if you haven't read the King James in its entirety and studied it, you will be missing a lot, because this is talking about everything that's in the King James, but it's just a little rearranged to fit into this narrative and have a lot more details included in it as well. So in here, he did heal and he did teach in this region, but he didn't say anything about his identity because there was this big controversy, right? So after Yahshua had left the region, several men went to ask John that question. John replied, I am the proclaimer that has come to proclaim that Yahshua and Miriam are the fulfillment of the coming of Jadeh and Janah as Emmanuel and Emmanuela. There are many members of the Christ family, because we know in that baptism one that we did, John was baptized first as the Christ Messiah. And so it makes sense that some people would, maybe get him confused because he was a very holy one. Even that's what Myrddin said in the beginning, that he is one of those holy ones. So he could see how he got him confused. I don't know what the screen is doing and how this light looks, but I just wanted to show y'all how, you got to stay in the light. All right. I mean, figure out where it comes in your house. If it doesn't, then you got to go outside. But for many, many years, every place I lived, I could just sit inside of my house and it was lined up perfect for the sun rays. And so I've always been able to keep plants and stuff because the sun comes in where I am. And let me tell you, it feels so good. I've gotten used to it shining in my face. When the seasons change and the degrees of the sun change, it takes a little adjusting time. But yeah, after I used to practice sun gazing because it was always in my face. I think the sun gazes at me. All right, here we go. Let me finish this. This got way longer than I wanted to, but this is good. John says, there are many members of the Christ family. More than one person of Christ consciousness walks the world at any time. But it is not I that am the prophesied Emmanuel, for I am not Jadeh, but his friend and co-worker in the Christ family. When those men returned to Basantes and Gilead, some believed them and split from Gilead's overseeingship. As for Myrddin, he took 12 disciples from the region of Basantes and Gilead that accepted the Lord and Lady and took them to plant a Nasarean congregation in his homeland, the region that would come to be called Wales. Does this seem like Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, right? Myrddin with 12. Wasn't it 12 knights? I swear, I don't know the whole story, but I think so. All right, so here, you guys waited to the end to get to this good part. Okay, so here's the end note by Gebiya related to the above account. Gebiya is Yahshua's son. if y'all don't know, and this is your first time watching this channel, you're going to have to go through the videos to get the whole story. But listen at this kid. He actually wrote something in here. A note by Gebiya, son of the Lord and Lady, is now added as follows. Gebiya writes, the above report was written by the hand of my beloved sister Sarah, also called Jalil, adopted daughter of my mother Miriam the Magdalene. After the crucifixion, the Magdalene, pregnant with me, soon fled with Sarah to Gaul. Lo, I grew up with a wonderful big sister. After these many years, for I write these words some years after Sarah, Jalil made the transition to the heavenly realms. I have now chosen to add this additional note at the end of her report on Galid and Myrddin. I chose to note that having seen more decades past than Sarah did, I can attest to the accuracy of the prophecy of Myrddin. For behold, the tribe of Galid, for so they came to call themselves, did in fact subsequently flee to foreign marshlands and abandon the Megillah for Galid's writings, based on his claimed gnosis, and then the writings of others that succeeded Galid in subsequent years. And though they still proclaim John the Baptizer to be the Messiah, they have already altered his teachings to fit their own gnosis. Having seen this portion of Myrddin's prophecy come true, I trust that the related positive development foreseen by Myrddin for the era of the last days will also prove true. So I probably interrupted it, but you guys, he was given a prophecy about the era of the last days, that he would reincarnate. Gilead would have to reincarnate as a high priest and make amends for his error. So Gebiya said that he's seen all this other stuff come true after Sarah's passed on and he lived longer than her. He saw this happen, and so he's saying he's hopeful and trust that the related positive developments foreseen by Myrddin for the era of the last days will also prove true. And they are, because this Holy Megillah is on YouTube now, and you know you can order you a book, and so this is going out, it's being spread, and there's a lot of information in here. The last days, the era of the last days started a while ago, but in the Holy Megillah it tells us that there's no set amount of time or numbers of how long the last days will be. It's all about the working out of certain Nasarean prophecies. So I think we're working it out. We're getting there. We are there. Like X marks the spot. Find that video, and that also talks about some of these things that happened recently that puts us where we are. So you know where you are. You know where we are at, and you know what it's time to do. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. I'm going to see how this looks, if it doesn't blind you too bad. All right. Thanks for watching. Love the light, as you know I do.